Well, hello and welcome to TTML F4. And oh boy, do we have something special today. We're starting off with a one-shot quali. After that, we're going to do a sprint race of 16 laps. And the sprint race determines the start of the real 50% race. So yeah, we've got something on our hands today. And as last week and the week before, I am joined by my good friend, Mr. Funky Chicken. How you doing, Funky?
I am doing very well indeed. It's been a very long day, but I'm just looking forward to the sprint race especially, 'cause I think there's going to be a lot of action around this track. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. I've had a really relaxed race, relaxed day. I'm sorry. Um, so yeah, I've been able to re-energize after 2 weeks of late shifts. So I'm doing really well. Just to get everybody up to speed in standing wise, can you take us through the top 10 standings for the drivers, please?
Yep, just let me get them up 1 second. So our current championship leader is Nelly on 50 points, and then just in behind after a bit of a strange opening start to the season is Noah J with 35 points, closely followed in P3 and 4 by Scuba Steve and Maxi, who are tied on points on 34. So it's very close between them two drivers, or them three drivers overall. P5 we've got Zam after a dominant victory last week with a total of 31 points. Then in behind we've got Dundee, Maximus, Kiki, Longcart, and Cowboy rounding out the top 10. Still very close in the mid-pack after the first two rounds, so it's all to play for tonight. With P11 we've got Charlie, Ray Mead doing P12, P13 Black Phoenix, P14 Ivory Might and P15 Tunturi, and Kermit in P16. And the final four runners haven't scored a point this season are Jeffrey Henney, OWR Atlas Carpo, Storm 72 UK and Lazy the Twig.
Well, that's the driver standing, so still everything to play for, really close. Nelly has a little gap to P2, 15 points to Noah J, but everyone behind is so incredibly close. So let's take you through the standings constructors-wise then. We have Alfa Romeo on 70 points in P1, Alpine in second place with 55 points, Haas in third with 49, Scuderia Ferrari in fourth with 47, Mercedes in fifth with 31 points, Aston Martin in P6 with 25 points, then we have AlphaTauri on 25 as well, Red Bull Racing on 23, McLaren on 14 points, and last one in the standings is Williams with 11 points. So in the constructors as well, there's a little gap between Alfa Romeo and Alpine, but really close as well.
Yeah, and I think Williams are going to be looking to try and get off the mark for this season, as I know it's been a bit of a tough few races there with Lazy the Twig being absent in the previous rounds, and Ivory and Mike having some issues at Baku after being in, I think it was a P4 last season before crashing out and causing, I think, the third safety car of the race. So they'll be looking to bounce back around the streets of Imola, which can also be just as much carnage as Baku.
Yeah, it can really easy to spin if you're not careful. It's yeah, we talked about it before we went online. The stream went online. It's a challenging track, but it's a beautiful track to drive, isn't it?
Yeah, just a mix of high-speed chicanes and medium speed, and then not many low-speed corners, but that chicane at the end of Sector 2 can be very tricky to get right, and we could see quite a few warnings being picked up through there, which would lead to multiple 3-second and maybe even 6-second time penalties around the field.
Yeah, you most definitely can, and the clock is ticking, so we're almost about to start the one-shot qualifying, which determines the starting grid for the sprint race. And let's go on board with our championship leader, I wanted to say, but I can't find him, so let's go on board with Coreboy then. In the Red Bull, not biased at all. Coming up to turn 1 and turn 2, have to be careful on the exit here, especially not to go too wide. Left-hander, right-hander here, have to be careful on the curbs here. easy to invalidate as well, but Corboy comes through it nice and tidy so far.
Kiki has crashed on the exit of turn 5, I think.
That's unfortunate for Kiki.
A bit of an interesting strategy there from Kiki is he tried to try the medium tyres, which obviously haven't worked out for him, as Nelly has currently taken the lead. It's very tight between the top three as they constantly flip-flop in position. As Ray Mead has now jumped Scuba Steve to P3. Yeah, I think Nelly's extending this lead more, so he just has to get these final 2 corners right here if he wants to get pole position. Is Ray Mead just a little bit behind, but he's brakes hard, just gets it turned in just about, gets a bit of understeer, and absolutely nails the second left-hand corner as that's it, and I think that's pole position for Nelly with a 1:42.3 over 8 attempts.
Yeah, what a beautiful time and what a big gap, and thank you for correcting me. I thought Nelly was contending, but he just has changed his PSM as he joined NSR. So, qualifying done. First part of qualifying. Nelly, P1 with a 114.3, and then Ray Meader in P2 with a 115.17 tenths different. Scuba Steve ended up in P3. Longcart P4, Jeffrey Henney in P5. Good qualifying from Jeffrey here. Atlas Cooper in P6. Black Phoenix P7, Corboy P8, Tenturi P9, Noah J in P10. Ivor Brian Mike ended up in P11, Irwell Dundee P12, Storm in P13, and then Kermit, Charlie, and Kiki were either disqualified or Kiki crashed out. So that's the gonna be the starting order for the sprint race. 16 laps. Word of action. So how would you approach this one?
I think I would probably take it easy in the first few corners because yes, it's for your position early on, but if you go too aggressive, you could end up starting at the back of the field, which I think Kiki tried to do is go in the mediums, and it's let him down there as he's now starting from the back of the grid for the sprint, so he's going to have to make his way up. But the grid seems very close, as I think Jeffrey Henney to Ivor Brian Mike were separated by 3 tenths, which was from like P5 to P11.
So that's 6 drivers really close to each other there. So yeah, let's see. Kiki has some work on his hands here, but I must say, dominating one-shot qualifying from Nelly, wasn't it?
Yeah, over 8 tenths clear of the field, absolutely destroying my PB as well, and especially in one shot. Unbelievable lap there from Nelly.
And that's a current Formula One TTML F1 driver talking, whose time he's beaten. So great work from Nelly here. And let's see. Let's put everything on here. Tires P1 till P11 on the soft tires, and everybody behind on the mediums. Only 16 drivers here today. So yeah, points everywhere. Points for the grabs here. I must say, looking at Storm and Charlie, who have been competing up at the front for almost every race, it's a bit disappointing seeing them in P13 and P15, isn't it?
Yes, I remember after Portimao when they were probably the most consistent constructors, but they just both made a few too many mistakes, wrong strategy calls, and it's let them down. And that's currently why they're sat near the bottom of the constructors, so they need to have a really good sprint race to turn into the weekend round already.
Yeah, they most definitely do, but everything can happen in 16 laps of racing, and especially on a track like this, where penalties can be an issue, and you have to be careful to not crash out here. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe some of the medium runners whose tires are gonna be, well, better at the end of the race than our soft runners.
If I was outside the top 10, I'd do with what probably Mike's been doing with going aggressive on the soft tyres, as because it is very difficult to overtake around this track. So getting positions early on would definitely benefit him for the rest of the sprint, whereas I think the medium runners will fall off at the start and then towards the end of the race start closing in when they're on the fresher soft tyres.
They will. How is tyre wear around this track?
I'd say it's quite minimal, but I seem to be a lot better. I seem to be very good on my tyres, but I think they can take the mediums probably the entire sprint and maybe take the softs like lap 7 or 8 just for the sprint, and then maybe like we'll see lap 10 or 12 for the actual race over the full 32 laps.
Well, as everybody is forming up the grid here, can you please take us away with the start of the race?
Sure. Got a bit of a poor camera angle here as Kiki's just joined onto the back of the field here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go, and I don't really have a great view on the start here, but I think Nelly's got the jump here on Ray Leader. Yeah, he's already pulled quite a bit of a gap here, so he's going to have to burn some ERS to hold on to his position. As they go into turn 1, I think Haas is going to try to go down the inside on his teammate, and that's very risky as we've got an Alpha Power in the background of Jeffrey Henry, and that's already been a bit too aggressive at the start, and we've seen him starting last for the 50% race, as Nelly's now half a second clear of Ray Meader. As Black Phoenix has also been caught up in a collision as he's dropped 8 places as a virtual safety car is now out.
So yeah, that was a great qualifying session from Jeffrey Henry, but unfortunately he DNF'd already. We have a virtual safety car, and Jeffrey has to start the race from the back. But I was just thinking, it looked like a really clean start. Some mingling in midfield, but that's normal until Jeffrey went off, and I think it was because of the two Haas cars battling with each other. But we are restarting. Charlie already up to P9 now, so great start from Charlie here. Jump Storm and a couple of other guys started around the back as Black Phoenix and Ivor Brian Mike were fighting there. Black Phoenix overtaking him there, but so far start of the race, I must give it to Nelly as he's almost a second away from Ray Meader.
That could be very crucial here as DRS will be activated in the next lap. And another massive gainer throughout this has been Tunseri, who started P9 and has just managed to find some space and has gained 4 positions at the start. So he's going to look to try and continue this form and push forward as he's not too far behind long car, so P4 could be on the cards there for the finish man.
And as I see Corboy in the Red Bull really on the back of Tunturi, just waiting for a mistake of him or anything, just wiggling about in the traction zones here and just want that opportunity to overtake him here. He really looks fast here, but as you said before we started, it's hard to overtake here, so you have to pick your momentum right. You have to get it right, or you're going to be overtaken by the guy behind you.
Mike's gone into the pits for a new set of tyres and a fresh wing, so I think he picked up damage in the early stages of the race, which is unfortunate for Mike, but now he's got some work to do as he's 36 seconds behind Black Phoenix, who is still yet to stop.
Yeah, so Ivor Brian Mike's his bad luck continuing here as Nelly sets the fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:17.0, so he's really flying there. DRS is enabled, so next DRS zone, everybody who is within a second of the guy in front of him can open DRS and maybe make an overtake happen with the overspeed that's created by the lesser wind resistance.
As Nelly ran it a bit wide there, so that could already be a warning for him. But I think the most crucial thing around Imola is your ERS management, as there's not many hard braking zones, so it's very difficult to recuperate your ERS. As Ray Meader behind is already down to 40%, whereas Nelly's in 70, which just showcases his speed as he's not using too much of his battery and he's pulling these extraordinary gaps early on.
Yeah, and that's what we've been seeing earlier on as well. Nelly just having the raw speed, doesn't need to use too much of his ERS, and that helps him as we have a yellow flag, and I believe that is Kiki, who doesn't have the best of spins again, doesn't have the best of seasons. He is a fast driver, but this season it's not going his way, isn't it?
No, but the main thing with Kiki is he's bringing it to the flag and picking up consistent points every race, which is very good to see, which is helping Alfa Romeo and the constructors. Ray Meader has already down to 8% ERS, so he's going to be very vulnerable to Scuba Steve behind, and later in the race he could pass Tunturi, who is also now past long car. Tunturi also only has 5% ERS, which They need to manage it a bit more here, or they're just going to keep losing positions later in the race.
Yeah, we were on board with Tunturi's beautiful overtake on Longhart. Easy overtake, used his DRS. Longhart didn't have DRS to defend, so yeah, Tunturi just created a little buffer between him and Corboy now. Longhart is between there, so Corboy has to fight his way past Longhart to be able to attack Tunturi again. But the gap between Scuba Steve and Tunturi, 2 seconds or almost 2 seconds, that's quite big this early on in the race. So Scuba Steve showing some really good pace as well.
Yeah, he's done that in the previous rounds as well, but he's just been a bit vulnerable to mistakes from last season, which I think he's definitely cut out this season, as he's looking at the back of Ray Meader here with over 30% more ERS, which he's going to use down this main straight out. He's turned it off here. I think he just wants to stick him behind Ray Meader for now and just hope to get him later in the race.
Yeah, just look at the speed. He isn't using any ERS, but because Ray Meader is used everything he had just to keep up with Nelly, the overspeed, even without using ERS, is so big that Scuba Steve has over Ray Meader. So probably a move is coming on. And IRL Dundee DNF. Let's see if we can figure out. Ooh, probably went a little too wide and slammed his car into the wall there.
This is definitely helping out Ray Mead and Tinteres. The safety car's going to help them recuperate all the ERS they lost, and just before the SC came out, Black Phoenix went around the outside of Kermit, just easy enough for the DRS, and it was a good move there. But Kermit was, I think, trying to save his ERS whilst Black Phoenix was only on 3. So it's showing that drivers are just willing to get the moves done early on and just hope that they struggle towards the end. But I don't think that's going to be the case here.
Yeah, we have to wait and see, and this also helps these soft runners saving up some tires here. So, and as you said, guys like Tunturi who didn't have much ERS left, Ray Meader, they can replenish it now as Nelly goes in for his pit stop, and everybody behind, I think, will follow him. Apart from the medium runners, I think.
I was going to say I'd expect the medium runners to pit, as the softs can definitely last 11 laps on low fuel. They're not going to be as fresh towards the end of the race, which could probably be around the same pace then as the 10-lap-old medium tyres. I think everyone's going to be going into the pits, apart from Iverbrine Mike.
I think you're right, and this is good news for Kiki and Iverbrine Mike, who had an incident. Kiki, who spun on his own, Iverbrine Mike, I'm not really sure what happened, but yeah, he had to pit early on. But these guys, Kiki comes in as well. These guys are going to be on the back again, so yeah, fighting for a position after the restart.
And this definitely isn't helping out Nell here. He's going to have to redo what he did in the first and just pull the gap while saving the RS, which it's not easy, especially around Imola, as the braking zones are very short. So it's hard to gain as much time, but he's just relying on the mistakes of Ray Meader and behind.
Yeah, he does. The fortunate thing for Nelly is that, well, up until P6 everybody is on the medium tire, so tire-wise they are the same, but yeah, he has to rebuild that gap, and yeah, who knows, maybe his as some drivers struggle on the harder compound of tires, his speed on the soft tires was great, but maybe he's in a little bit of danger on the mediums tires. We have to wait and see.
Just due to his raw speed in qualifying, I don't think that's going to be the issue for the Dutchman, but another issue that he's got to comprehend with is he's already got one warning. Even 10 laps, it's very easy to just run a little bit wide and pick up another, and a similar issue for Noah J behind, who's on 2. So he's got to be very careful to not pick up a 3-second time penalty, which could leave him around 6 places lower than he qualified.
Yeah, that may well be the case, because everybody is bunched up again because of the safety car. But yeah, luckily for him, he doesn't have anyone in front of him, so if his restart is okay, he won't be suffering as much in the medium speed corners with the dirty air, where Ray Meader and Scuba Steve do have some dirty air, and everybody behind, of course. So that's the only positive thing for him now. So let's hope he can keep it clean, and let's see if he can keep that P1 here.
I think Nelly's got that wrapped up, but also Iverbrun might have gone to a fresh set of soft tyres, so I think he's going to be looking to go out on the attack early on once again. So he's got some work to do, as he's got pretty much soft runners ahead of him apart from Black Phoenix. It's going to be very tricky for him to make progress through the field.
Yeah, it is, and probably Black Phoenix, as he has Storm on the softs as well, after a lap or maybe 2 laps, I expect him to, well, not plummet down, but lose some positions because of all the soft runners behind him. So Black Phoenix has got his work cut out here for him. He has to defend like crazy, doesn't he?
Yes, he's going to struggle. As you said, he's going to fall behind Storm quite quickly. He's just got to do his best to defend from the likes of Kermit, Kiki and Mike, who are all looking very eager to get going as they're closing up and then dropping back on them soft tyres.
So as everybody is back behind the safety car now, I presume, yeah, safety car is coming in this lap. Lights are going out, so Nelly is the one who's going to be setting the pace here and who's going to restart the bunch here for, well, what is it going to be? 8 more laps of racing.
If I was Nelly, I'd go on the exit of the final corner and just get a better launch than the cars behind us. There's some issues behind us. Kiki's gone past Kermit and Black Phoenix, as I think he's now returned to positions. But Charlie's definitely going to be the one to watch on the restart on them fresh softs.
Black Phoenix gets a 5-second time penalty for a collision with Kiki, so definitely an issue there. As Storm gets a penalty as well. Black Phoenix another one, but let's focus on the restart. On board with Nelly here, who is restarting now. Ray Meter seemed to be sleeping a little bit because he got the gap, and Scuba Steve profiting of that. These two going side by side with Corboy right behind them, and Scuba Steve round the outside. Beautiful move from him, and immediately Ray Meter under lots of pressure from Corboy there, but making a mistake and losing 2 positions to Noah J and Charlie. So not the best of restarts for Corboy so far, but look at this. Nelly already 1.2 seconds clear of Scuba Steve. So yet another great restart from Nelly here.
Yeah, it was also a very good move there from Scuba Steve to get the move done, as Corboy as well had a bit of a mistake. Touched the gravel and drops 2 positions as Centauri as well has fallen down the field. So it's not been a great restart for the medium runners as Charlie's gained 2 positions.
Ooh, someone going into the wall there. Was that Black Phoenix? I believe it was a Ferrari. Yes, it, or wasn't it?
It was Black Phoenix. Yeah,
it was Black Phoenix.
These five is he straight lined it and it's not really on that, but he's got nothing to lose at this point. It's just a bit unfortunate to see that as he's now retired on track.
And here Charlie goes round the outside of Noah J in the McLaren. Noah J, the other Ferrari runner here, and still side by side here. But Charlie is in front in the braking zone, so claiming this position there. Great overtake from Charlie, who's already up to P4 on his soft tires.
I think Charlie's going to win this race. He's got 7 laps as Ray Meader's now picked up 3-second time penalties, which was saying the warnings are very crucial around this track. They're very easy to pick up rapidly, as Ray Meader's just proved, as he only had one on the restart. So the drivers ahead of Charlie here are just going to want to keep it on track, as at the moment Charlie does not have a warning himself. Oh, never mind, he's got 2. So he also has to be careful.
So Charlie has to be careful as well, but he looks to be on the aggressive side, wants to make that overtakes happen, and so far it's been a great sprint race for him because he started from, well, almost at the back. He's already up to P4, and I must say Nelly just in a league of his own again this week. Scuba Steve can't hold the pace as Storm and Atlas Copo just switch positions there, but Charlie is looking at the back of Ray Meter. Position wise with the penalties he doesn't have to overtake him, but knowing Charlie and seeing him race here, he wants to get both Ray Meter and Scuba Steve.
Got the double tower, he could maybe have a look at one of them as they're going to battle, so on the exit, oh never mind, they're both back out of it. As at the moment, the battery, once again, it's been used by the drivers behind Nelly's. Nelly's on 65% and he's got more than the drivers, all 3 drivers behind him combined. which really says a lot about how they're
Oh, look at
managing.
this. Charlie just going down the inside here, outbraking Ray Meter. What a beautiful move. Round the, well, round the outside, I want to say, down the inside. Just purely on braking powers. That's the difference between the soft tires and the medium tires, making the overtake happen on Ray Meter.
Very good move there, as he's now got to try save some ERS to go for another tire. He's a bit loose out that corner there, which has lost him some time, and Ray Meter doesn't even try to look for the move as Cowboy's falling down the field. I think he's had an incident through the same chicane.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Corboy has any damage, but he's really going wide through some of those corners, so we have to keep an eye on that. But it's too exciting at the front, so let's switch back to Charlie, who's hunting down Scuba Steve now. Is he gonna be able to make the overtake happen here, or does he have to wait? It looks like he has enough overspeed, moving to the inside here, and even before the braking zone made the overtake done. So, well, if there's anyone who can put Nelly into danger, it is Charlie, isn't it?
Yes, he's got 6 laps pretty much here to gain 2 seconds to Nelly up ahead on the soft tyres, which he's kept in a very good window at the moment. He's already gained 2 tenths on this lap, now 3 tenths. I think Nelly could be in trouble here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Nelly has a lot more ERS, but you can see he's using a little bit now because he needs that gap to stay around this. And Charlie just can't save up anything. He needs everything he has to close that gap to Nelly there and try to go for the victory and well, pole position for the main race.
And another driver who's not been the fastest, but just from being the cleanest there could benefit massively. It's Longtime in 6th. The 2 drivers ahead of him both have penalties, which I think from a collision in Ray Meter's was for exceeding track limits too many times, but only 2 seconds behind. He could benefit here and start from P4.
Oh, Kermit's off. Sorry to break in, but Kermit's off. Kermit and Ivan Brian Mike were battling, I believe, and Kermit just got a little bit too wide there, lost traction, and ended up in the gravel as Corboy really plummeting now. He's in P10.
Atlas Cooper just doing the simple DRS pass down the main straight. Simple move there for the Norwegian, as he's promoted himself to P9 as he said, Corboy is struggling very much on his tyres there, and I think he may have some wing damage.
Yeah, he's really going wide almost every corner here, so he must have some either wing damage or maybe some side pod damage or anything, because normally he can stay within track limits, but he's really struggling at the moment. As Noah J now putting the pressure on Ray Meter. Ray Meter, since he has been overtaken by both Scuba Steve and Charlie, he had been able, as Noah J picks up a penalty now, he had been able to stay with these guys, but it looks like he's struggling to keep up, and just as I say that, he's already back into DRS of Scuba Steve.
Kermit lost at the back of the field on the exit again, as he's picked up more damage as he's just completely cut the chicane then to the time penalty. It's also, Charlie isn't gaining as big as a rate as he was earlier in the field, which is suggesting the tyres are already going off, his ERS isn't going up. As Nelly is definitely using a lot more ERS than he was, because it's not as comfortable as it was before.
Oh, sorry to break in, but Tunturi and Longcart going side by side. Tunturi made the overtake, Longcart came back, but eventually Tunturi was able to hold on there as Kermit DNFs in pit lane, I believe.
Storm, I think, is now past Longcart as well. Down into the repair, I think. As what I was saying about Longcart, it's kind of fallen away from him. He's losing a lot of time to the soft runners and the medium runners ahead of him.
Yeah, you can really see if you are put offline because you're battling, you're immediately in danger from the guys behind you, because Storm was just besides his pace, because he's taken a look at Tunturi here, just profiting of Tunturi and Longcart battling, and Longcart was offline. Storm immediately went down the inside and made the overtake happen.
Yes, I think them soft tyres look knackered now on Charlie's car, because Nelly's is now beginning to extend the gap as Ray Meader's past Scuba Stevens. Then bump tyres. It's a bit aggressive there from Ray Meader, as now Noah J's past Scuba Stevens. He's looking to get Ray Meader as well into the unnerved chicane. Does he go for it? They're both side by side. I think Noah J backs out a bit, but he gets the cut back on Ray Meader. Looks to go around the outside, but there's no room out there. There's good positioning there from Ray Meader, but Noah J has now got the cut back and could be looking for the overtake up the inside. Should be a very risky overtake, but a very good one on the camera.
Yeah, and as we are on board with Scuba Steve, we had a beautiful angle on these two guys battling, and Scuba Steve doesn't look to be too impatient. He was just waiting for Noah J to maybe make a move, and either Noah or Ray Meader make a mistake there, so he could profit of it as Corbett picks up a 3-second penalty, Longard picking up a 3-second time penalty, and everything has been calming down now as Tenturi Parina is round.
The commentators curse at his finest, as Corbett has also just picked up a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting air, which is a very strange penalty to get around this track, as there's not many corners to cut.
Yeah, besides the chicane, I think there's none.
It's all just gravel traps, so if you go across it, you're just going to lose time, which will probably result in a spin. So it's very interesting there from Corbett. He's going to the pits for a wing change, which suggests he did have damage.
Yeah, and I switched back on board with Scuba Steve because Ray Meader, Noah J and Scuba Steve still really close to each other, and as we have another yellow flag, and I believe that is either Brian Mike and Kiki picking up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And look at that, the gap between Nelly and Charlie has come down a little bit, but I think it's too late for Charlie to pick up that P1, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just left it a bit too late as them soft tyres have fallen away from the young Britishman. But as also at the back of the field, it's been a bit of a disappointing sprint race there for Mike, who I expected more from him because it's a track that's suited to his driving style, as he's spun again through Tamburello, and it's just capped off a miserable race for the Welshman.
And here Noah J on the back of Ray Meader, and I think this is going to be an easy overtake by Noah J. Side by side, past him, and it is an easy overtake. Scuba Steve wasn't able to capitulate on that as well, because Scuba Steve made a little mistake on the exit and lost, well, a second on these guys. So Noah J in P3 and Ray Meader in P4 for now.
It's been also a very disappointing sprint race for the Alpha Tauris and the Red Bulls. So it looks like the Honda engine, I know it's equal things, but it's not looking very strong around this track, is it, compared to real life?
No, it isn't. I mean, this is a track that should suit the Red Bull, but here it isn't at all, as Ray Meader was trying to get back at Noah J, but no opportunity there. It was too far away. So let's go on board with Nelly here, who's almost at the finish line, and another great dominant victory in the sprint race from Nelly here. And as I was saying that, I was hoping I didn't curse him there through the final corner, but Nelly picking up P1 for the race. Charlie, great second place, coming all the way from the back. Scuba Steve, because he kept it clean, is in P3. Ray Meader P4. Noah J P5, Longcart P6, Storm in P8 as Atlas Copo jumped in there into P7, and then we have the guys who were in trouble here coming over the line as Tenturi ending up in P9, Ivor Brian Mike. Well, I must say, better to have trouble in the sprint race than in the actual race we're going to be having after this. Ending up in P10, Corboy was struggling, had some damage, but didn't want to quit, ends up in P11, and Kiki, who's never quitting, no matter how much spins he makes, how much bad luck he has, he always ends his race, finishes his race, is going to be ending up in P12.
Corboy didn't have the best race picking up wing damage on the restart. He's still gained positions, which is definitely going to benefit him for this race, as I think not many people are too happy in the chat here, as we're seeing quite a few angry comments about the poor driving standards, so we can hope they turn around for the race, as we don't condone that kind of driving here in TTML.
No, we most definitely don't. We always want to keep it clean. But that's the sprint race done already. So we had the one shot, we had the sprint race, and now, as behind the scenes, I believe Atlas Coppo is going to be working hard to get the grid right. And can you take us through the final standings of the sprint race?
So P1 after a dominant drive once again, it's Nelly, now known as NSR Yeligizen. P2 from P15 on the grid, very good drive there from FRL Charlie's. Rounding out the top three. Scuba Steve, just a very calm drive, keeping it on the track and gaining positions at the end. P4 Ray Meader, P5 Noah J, P6 Longcart, Atlas Cope on P7, Storm in P8, Centuria after looking promising early on P9, and Ivory Mike rounding out the top 10. P11 we have Cowboy after the damage earlier on. Kiki and Kermit both disappointing races there as Kermit retired in the pits, as our final three runners Black Phoenix, Dunn and Jeffrey Henney also DNF'd earlier on in the sprint race.
And this is going to be the starting grid for the race as well. So Nelly picking up a pole position here. It's a double pole position. Which one is the actual pole position? I believe this one, isn't it?
Yeah, they're winning the sprint race will be classed as the pole position, which is kind of strange, but we move.
Yeah, it is what it is. Let's see. Let's get the chat on as well. Oh, and mute my sound because it's not good to hear myself two times. Let's see everyone who's joining here. Welcome. And Storm has got a 5 seconds for a leg out, which affects his main race. So that's, yeah, pretty much Codemasters for you there.
Yes, very typical from Codemasters as usual, but we don't really like to see these type of glitches in the games. Hopefully they can get fixed soon enough, so we don't have to deal with these kind of issues in the future.
And we have Maartje Giese here as well. I think it's family of Nelly. Nelly is a big old spaghetti noodle, but he's gonna win. Well, he did. He did, but it isn't over yet. He has to win the actual race as well to pick up those points. But welcome as well, family of Nelly. So just quick recap. We've seen the one-shot quali. We've seen the sprint race here. Nelly looking dominant, but I must say Charlie looking rapid here as well. Before we're starting, any predictions for the race?
I think Nelly is going to win just due to the confidence he seemed to have around this track. He was pushing every lap while saving the RS, which is a very difficult skill to master, which he seems to have done very well. I think P2 is also going to be Charlie, as long as he picks the right strategy calls and keeps it on the track. And P3 is going to be a difficult one. I think I will probably go with Storm, who's starting a bit down the order, but he's shown great potential in the first two races. It's just not really come together for him for the perfect weekend with two DNFs, one of them being Portimao on the final corner on the last lap.
Yeah, I almost forgot. That's right, on the final corner he DNF'd there, which cost him a really good result. I think Charlie is going to be putting the pressure on Nelly there. Nelly is probably a little bit faster, looked faster here, looks fast all season long, but I think Charlie is going to jump him at the start. And yeah, as you said, it is difficult to overtake here. It isn't impossible, but it is difficult. So I think these two are going to be battling out P1 and P2, but I think Charlie is going to be ending up in P1. And I'm going to go for a safe bet here. Is that allowed? Am I allowed to go for a safe bet for P3?
Sure, I'll let you off.
Scuba Steve.
No, the simple 1, 2, 3. Very, very boring indeed.
Yeah, it is boring. Only P1 and P2 are going to be switched on my final standings, at least at my prediction. But it is a safer one. But I must say, Storm in this sprint race as well looked pretty fast and confident on overtaking. Normally, I'm used to seeing him a little bit cautious, but he just went for it and made it work.
Storm, for my prediction, he's got some work to do, but I think I almost got the prediction right last week, as he's starting P8 on the grid, so he's got quite a lot of work to do, as I'm just echoing myself now at this point. But I think he's got it in him, with mistakes from drivers up ahead and his ability to keep it clean and within the white and in between the white lines. He's definitely going to benefit him this race.
He most definitely does, but we have to look out for some guys at the back as well. I mean, IRL Dundee is going to be starting from P15 out of my head. We've seen him up the field as well for a couple of races, so he is really, really fast. Maybe with a lucky safety car, while he is in his pit window, can move him up a couple of places, and he's just really fast overall. So we have to look out for some back markers as well in this race, don't we?
Yeah, as I think two people have already left the session, which is Kermit and Jeffrey Henry, which is a bit unfortunate to see. But definitely Black Phoenix and Dundee can work their way up the field. As they've got the pace inside them, they just need to make sure to keep it on the track this time around, which they've been given a second chance with the sprint.
And everybody has readied up, so we are seeing a beautiful picture of Imola. Beautiful track, beautiful surroundings. Nice little Italian village there. So everybody is going to be readying up here, ready for the main race, 50% race. So 32 laps of racing left here today. It's going to be a little bit of a longer stream than you're maybe used of us. But if these guys can keep it up like they were doing, get the standards up maybe a little bit, because it looked a little bit messy at some times, we're gonna have a cracker of a race.
I'd hope so. As I hope they provide a good race for the houses that are just in the middle of the racetrack for some reason. We've got like a perfect view of both sides of the track.
Yeah, still as we are waiting on Tonturi and Black Phoenix, I believe, to ready up here or to load in.
I think I could be having some issues.
Yeah, or is it a lobby glitch, which unfortunately we are a little bit used to seeing at Formula One, seeing it a little bit too often. Tunturi has left the session and we loaded in. Black Phoenix left the session as well. Looking a little bit overcast here, I must say.
I've also not loaded into the lobby, unfortunately, so I'll quickly restart my game and try hop back in. But the overcast conditions will also help keep the tyre wear and the tyre temps a lot lower. So it's definitely going to benefit the people who are going to go on the medium tyres and try to go longer into the race. But I think the strategy is going to be very split throughout this race.
I think it is, as I am still in a loading screen, so I think we definitely have some lobby issues here. So maybe we're gonna see a lobby restart. If that is the case, we're gonna have some talking on our hands, Funky Chicken.
I'm not very good at that.
Well, you're doing fine so far, so...
First time for everything.
True. As Charlie Pauly is asking for a top 3 prediction, and we already did that actually, but I'm gonna say it again, as now we're gonna be starting, the clock is ticking down.
I'll back in as well.
The top 3 prediction of Funky Chicken was Nelly in first, Charlie in second, and Storm 72 UK in third. And I had a really boring prediction.
Boring.
Boring. My prediction was Charlie in P1, Nelly in P2, and Scuba Steve in P3.
Very interesting tyre strategies here, as Nelly's gone on the soft tyres and Charlie behind him's gone on the medium tyres. I think most of the field, it's very split here, as Scuba Steve's gone mediums as well. Ray Meader's gone softs, and Noah J, Longcart and Atlas Corp have all gone mediums. Storm, Tunturi and Mike have all gone softs to try gain positions. And Corboy and Kiki in behind have gone the medium tyres, and then Black Phoenix and Dundee at the back of the field going very aggressive on them soft tyres. It's going to be a very interesting race. It's going to see drivers going up the grid quickly and also plummeting very quickly.
Yeah, so I think Nelly is going for the soft tyres to create a big gap between him and Charlie early on, but as the cars go lighter because of the fuel load going down, I think the alternate strategy is going to be stronger in the end. So my prediction already looking good here.
That's unfortunate. But this medium tyres thing works perfectly into Charlie's hands with the safety car as well. So I think there's going to be something similar this time around. So I think it's going to be a couple of safety cars, unfortunately, but hopefully the drivers can keep it clean and keep the number of safety cars to a minimum.
Yeah, let's hope they do. I think another prediction from me, I think there's going to be no safety car. Bold prediction, I know. Bolder than my top 3 prediction, but I'm going to say these guys cleaned up their act and there's going to be no safety car today. Not in the race.
Dundee's crashed on his way to the grid.
Luckily,
no damage.
Luckily, you can't get any damage on the outlap, and you can't cause a safety car, or that was my prediction out of the window already. As Dundee is coming on the back of these guys now. Let's see if we can get a good camera angle here.
I'll let you take us through the starts this time around.
No, yeah, here we are. As we have 4 red lights, 5 red lights, and away we go. So on the soft tire already, Nelly, great start of the race here, but Charlie, Scuba Steve, Ray Meader are following them there. Black Phoenix, not sure what happened to him, but didn't come off the starting line there. But I believe he is ghosted, as we have 3 cars side by side here. Atlas, Ivor, Brian, Mike, Dundee, and Ray Meader is out. So Ray Meader is out of the race already here, and a virtual safety car. That's not a safety car.
A very good start there for Dundee. He's already found 6 positions, going very aggressive indeed. And Ray Meader's just done pretty much the exact same thing that Jeffrey Henney did in the sprint. Just with cars battling ahead, dropped on the traction, hit the wall, and unfortunately broke his suspension in the process.
So really unfortunate for Ray Meader, but at least he picked up some points in the sprint race, so he's not going home empty-handed here. And yeah, I must say Nelly on his soft tires, great restart. But Charlie, Scuba Steve, and Longhart looked really good here, and Noah J lost out a little bit.
It's very strange to see the soft tyres. Can get it up. Yeah, the soft tyre. Oh, he's on medium tyres then, man. But Storm's also getting a position with soft tyres. Noah J, I think he's maintained position, if I'm not mistaken. He just couldn't get the same start as the others ahead of him.
Then I am just blabbering away as we restart the race again. Nelly quite awake here because he created a gap to Charlie already. Scuba Steve, good restart. Longhart missed out a little bit there on his teammate, and Storm already on the back of Noah J here. So is he gonna be trying to overtake him here, or is he gonna be waiting until Noah J maybe falls back? But Noah J's pace is quite okay, as Dundee making the move on Ivor, Brian, Mike, or trying to make the move. These guys side by side here, but eventually IRL Dundee made it happen. So Dundee up another place into P8.
the soft tyres seem to be working very well in these opening laps. Just need to hope as Storm can maintain the pace in these as he's hounding the back of Noah J, who's made a little mistake. And I think Storm's looking at the move but backs out of it because it's very tricky to go side by side through there. We've seen a lot of switching between Tunturi and Cowboy and Kiki at the back of the field, but that's just because Tunturi is not in control of his car, unfortunately, which you don't really like to see.
No, Tunturi not here, and I believe Black Phoenix isn't here as well. I didn't see. Yeah, I saw him rejoin, but I think he isn't in this car momentarily. So Storm still looking on the back of Noah J, but Noah J looking on the back of Longhart, and Longhart seems to be not fast enough to stay on the back of Scuba Steve and holding up Noah J and Storm a little bit here, isn't he?
Dundee's is flying through the field at the moment. He's done a brilliant move there in Atlas Copper with a late braking manoeuvre down the inside of Tamburello. That he's already he's burning through his ERS a lot quicker than some of the cars ahead of him there. So he just needs to be careful now as he's approaching the back of him. He wants to manage his ERS and then proceed to attack even more cars. He runs very wide there, which is probably already a warning as Kiki picks up his first 3-second time penalty of the night.
Yeah, as Storm is every corner, he's so close to Noah J. He has to be careful to not lose his front wing, but he is definitely putting the pressure on Noah J here. And Noah J, in the first part of the track, he comes back at Scuba Steve, but in the second part he is just losing out on Scuba Steve. So Noah J and Storm have to time their move to perfection here, because he seems to be slower on the on one part of the track than the other.
There's Sunsera at the back of the field. I don't think you'd really like to see that. He's got in control of his car, and unless he's having some issues, he's just gone straight onto the wall and hasn't broken suspension. So we can hope he's not trying to cause a safety car.
Kiki's out.
And is that out of that's now a safety car. Kiki's crashed on the exit at Tamburello, which is very easy to do on this game. So it's just a bit unfortunate there for the Englishman, as he's been able to keep it. He's been able to keep all wheels on his car this season, which has helped him massively, but unfortunately hasn't been able to do it around the streets of Imola.
Yeah, and surprisingly, Tunturi is going for the hard compound of tire here.
The hard tire they're not a bad tire, but they're just not the optimum tires. The mediums so much quicker, can maintain the same temperature range, whereas the hards can keep flip-flopping in and out of the temperature range. It's a very strange call there from Tunturi from Say's back of the field as well. Maybe looking to go for the one stop for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I think he is, but as you said, the tire is so much slower than the medium. So, and he unfortunately is behind as Storm goes in and Ivor Brian Mike is going in as well. So let's see. So these guys, mediums, yeah. Are these mediums going to be able to last it throughout the race now?
I think so, but they've got to be very careful on the tyres and manage them a bit. I'd say the best lap to pit off the soft tyres would be laps 7 or 8, maybe even 9 at a push. So it's a bit early for that, but with laps under safety car, I definitely think it would be manageable here for these two. You could definitely see them jump up the field and maybe complete my prediction with Storm getting on the podium.
Yeah, so far your prediction still isn't off the table. One prediction that is off the table is my bold call of no safety car.
Yeah, it didn't last long, did it?
No, 4 laps and a bit to be precise.
We can just hope that the rest of the race can keep it clean, but when one safety car comes out, the field bunches up, we see a few more incidents because of dirty air, as cars are following each other a lot closer, so the amount of dirty air is higher, which leads to more mistakes. So every driver's got to be very careful there on the restart and keep all their wheels intact.
Yeah, you see it in real F1 as well. 3/4 of the race, a race can be clean, no incidents, and then once one safety car comes out, everybody's packed up again, and incidents just happen because everybody is so close together. So it's not always on the drivers. Sometimes it's just the circumstances, as we saw at the start as well. 2 or 3 guys battling for position. The guy behind getting put off by it and ends his race.
And Suntory's also pit again to go into the soft tyres. So there's very strange calls there from Suntory. Them softs definitely will not be able to go 27 laps. So he's maybe looking for another late safety car to bring him back into contention.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he does. Maybe he is just counting on another safety car coming out. But if one comes out, it has to be 9 or 10 laps from now, I think. Maybe a little bit earlier. But yeah, he's 40 seconds behind Black Phoenix, and Black Phoenix 14 seconds behind the rest. So I think we're gonna be having another lap behind the safety car, unfortunately.
At the moment, I think Nelly's definitely going to want to do a bit more of a cleaner restart this time without bunching the pack up as much. So in the last restart we saw many 5-second penalties being handed out around the field, as I'm currently getting messaged by Robin and to check the F4 chat about a possible restart. As head steward, I'll let you look into this. I'll try to keep a talk on this brilliant action under the safety car.
Please do. I'm gonna go diving into Discord here.
At the moment we can currently see most of the grid being filled up by the medium runners, and only 3 soft runners out on the track at the moment are P1, P6 and P12 in Nelly, Dundee and Tunturi. So they'll want to be pitting very soon, as the tyres won't last too long around this track, and we'll just be hoping maybe for another safety car to win the pit, as the medium runners are going to look to go longer into the race, pit onto the softs later at the end of their stint, which will be like lap 20-ish, which could see them fight through the field and maybe come for the win. Especially Charlie as well, because his pace has been extraordinary tonight, as he's been the only one being able to match Nelly's pace. My prediction for this restart is definitely going to be Dundee, maybe making another charge through the field, as he started P15, P14, believe it or not, in this field, and he's already up into P6. And that's not benefiting off many pitting. I think it was only Storm ahead of him who pit. So he moved all the way up into P7, just within 4 laps, which shows that he's got extraordinary pace. It's just he needs to keep it within the limits and without picking up any time penalties or binning the car on the exit of Tombarella or Aqua Minerale, which is very easy to do around here, unfortunately, which is making it a very difficult task for the drivers. As we'll check for some warnings, as Nelly's got 1, Charlie's already got 2, which he needs to be very careful of. Scuba Steve being very clean with 0, Longcart with just 1, Noah J's also got 1, Dundee's got 0, which is very surprising because we saw him go very wide at Piratella earlier on in the race. A bit lucky there from Dundee. So Atlas, Cowboy got 2 warnings on lap 2, so he's definitely in danger of a time penalties. Atlas Corpo's got 0. Mike's got 2 as well. Storm's got 0. Black Phoenix has 0. Suntory has a speeding penalty but no warnings for track limits, which rounds out the field, which shows that they're struggling to keep the car on track as it's the restart, I believe. Absolutely crazy. Nelly's already gone. He's caught Charlie napping quite a bit there, as Charlie's now 4 tenths behind him already, and Nelly's got to try string out the biggest gap he can within these few laps before he pits. It's going to be very tricky, as them soft tyres are just going to wear out and the pendulum's going to swing more towards Charlie. As Charlie's losing a bit of time, as Cowboy's now picked up the first 3-second penalty within the driver's remaining. We know Kiki picked one up earlier on. Scuba Steve hugging to the back here of Charlie, as gets the better exit there out of Tarza. Now it's within 5/10 as he uses a bit of his ERS. The main thing is all drivers have been quite aggressive to ERS apart from Nelly. Again, shows he's very confident in his speed to pull a gap, which he's doing as the gap's already up to 9/10. Just a tiny bit of a mistake down the exit of Aqua Minerale as dropped from 1 second as Dundee, as we were saying earlier, spun far down the field, kept his wing intact, but he's down in the gravel and he's left the session immediately. We don't like to see that, we'd prefer to see him retire in the pits here as the action continues.
The action does continue as we see Noah J closing in on Longhart and Charlie closing back into to Nelly now. So that suggests to me that Nelly's tires are maybe start going off now. So yeah, with a couple of laps under the safety car, he could save up his tires a little bit. But now I think the best and most rubber is off it, isn't it?
Yes, soft tires are definitely already wearing out as Charlie's kept within a second, which, as we saw in like lap 1, he was already pulling a second, but now it's 8 laps in on these tyres. He's going to struggle to get that gap, and it's definitely going to help out Charlie a lot later in the race.
Yeah, it most definitely is. As looking at the gaps here, Storm on his fresher tires, as Charlie picks up a 3-second time penalty, so that can be decisive at the end of the race here. But Storm now hounding on the back of Corboy here, putting the pressure on. His tires are 5 laps younger, as he makes a little bit of a mistake on the exit here, but yeah, definitely looking to make the overtake happen on Corboy here. As Noah J is also close to Longhart here, and yeah, Nelly and Charlie just driving away from Scuba Steve at the moment, and Nelly has found some extra pace in these tires because the gap has gone up from 0.6 of a second to 1.1 seconds. So his tires aren't done. He's just managing the race really well, I think.
Yes. It's just very difficult here. Has there been any news on the restart or anything? I'm not too sure myself, but I hope we can just keep going as this race is just, it's expanding into a much more interesting race here. Nelly's dominance has not been as dominant as he was in the sprint race, it's fair to say.
No, not as dominant, but I think that's mostly because we had an early safety car, and Charlie and Nelly are on completely different strategies here. I think Nelly is just managing his tires here to get the best out of his medium tires in the second stint of the race. But even though he is managing his race, he's still increasing the gap to Charlie.
Yeah, I think the main thing here for Nelly is not to overdrive the car a bit. We see this a lot in other divisions. People trying to drive to the maximum ability that they can. They make silly mistakes, pick up more penalties there. So Nelly definitely around Portimao did that brilliantly. He's not pushing too hard, but not pushing too little, so he was gaining time on his competitors whilst keeping it within bounds. As Tunturi's also pit already off them soft tyres onto a fresh set of the mediums.
Yeah, so he has 22 laps on these mediums left, which is easy to do. So he has his pit stop done here, but lost out a little bit. So we have to see if he can show us the same pace he had on the softs, because he has some catching up to do. And I believe that no, Dundee isn't in his car. I wanted to say Dundee is way behind Black Phoenix here, but he isn't in his car.
Sorry to cut you off there. He's made a massive mistake out of Aqua Mineral. Has gone into the wall, lost his entire front wing, and that's going to be him pitting at the end of this lap. Hopefully he doesn't retire in the pits, as there's still a long way to go in this race for the Norwegian.
Yeah, and as we have seen, everything can happen. So still 22 laps or 21 laps left of racing here. So who knows what will happen? A safety car, some people crashing out. He is at P9 now, probably going to be falling back behind Dundee here. And yeah, who knows? He can still pick up a top 10 position for sure, I think, but maybe even a top 5 position here.
Yes, as I think Noah J is now falling quite a bit behind Scoop Steve there as he's out of the 1 second window. So he's definitely struggling on the tyres a bit more as to wear a bit more. Nelly's pace is actually extraordinary with them soft tyres. Yes, they've had some laps under SC, but he's still pulling the gap. Probably going to take his late 30th to 40th tyre wear. He had a little wobble down in the rally, which is very difficult for him to manage, as now Charlie's closed the gap with him. Soft tyres don't look too great now, if I'm honest, and I would expect him to be in the pits at the end of this lap.
Yeah, I think he does. And just looking at Storm here, already back into P6. He already had his pit stop behind him. He can take it to the end, but he has to be a little bit careful. I think your podium prediction is most definitely on the table now with Storm because he's flying at the moment.
Yeah, but in flying now at the moment, he's burnt most of his ERS and he's probably used up quite a lot of his tyres early on, which isn't going to be ideal as Ivor and Mike makes the move on Carby there. Good move there from Mike, who's trying to recover after a difficult sprint race. After he's spun quite a few times and he's recovered very well, so he can keep progressing forward.
Yeah, and so far he's doing great. He also has his pit stop made already.
So Storm had a massive wobble on the exit of Toes there. It's almost allowed Mike to get back within the 1 second range. So Storm already does seem to be struggling, which makes my prediction makes my hopes of my prediction fall a bit. He's struggling on 8 laps onto them tyres.
Yeah, so he has to get those tire temperatures back in check, and he's okay to go on, but he's losing out quite a bit now to Longhart and Nelly on 12 lap old softs. Is he gonna be coming into the pits now? No, he doesn't. He still keeps going. So he really is confident, and I must say, with a 1.9 second lead over Charlie, he isn't falling off at all. So it's quite surprising.
Yeah, I'd really expected these tyres to fall off, especially starting them. Maybe because it's a fresh set and he didn't actually do qualifying on them, but that would only cost 2 or 3% maybe. So he's got extraordinary pace and he's doing very well to keep it within the white lines, as I don't think he's got many warnings. I know he had 1 at the restart, and he's got 2 though, so that could definitely play into Charlie's hands.
Yeah, but Charlie already picked up a penalty, and I'm not sure on how many warnings he is, but even if they are equal on penalties, only thing Nelly has to do is finish in front of Charlie, which, well, I must say, with his pace, and especially on really old tires like this, seems to be possible.
Yeah, and he's definitely the favourite to win this race now. He just needs to manage as he finally comes into the pits, which I'm assuming is for the medium tyres. But the close one-shot qualifying we had with so many drivers, like 6 drivers within 2 or 3 times, the mid-pack is very split, it's fair to say, with like 2 second intervals between each driver. It's not very great to see, just because we're getting less action, but it shows that the drivers are doing well, managing the race very well.
And here, Corboy, sorry to break in, Corboy goes past Ivor Brian Mikey. He was setting it up for 2 laps, wasn't close enough, but now he was close enough, and Corboy up to P6.
Good move there from Carby, but Storm is struggling on them tyres. Had a massive wobble again on the exit of Tamburella, and I think he's going to be vulnerable there to Carby. He's not managed his tyres at all, he's pushed too early, he's used all of his ERS, and with these constant wobbles as he's just saved it, and that's a very harsh penalty indeed, but them tyres, he doesn't look comfortable on the tyres at all, and it wouldn't surprise me seeing him in the pits soon enough as Carby's got the run of him. Is he going to go for the move? It's a bit far back. No, he backs out of it as Storm positions his car beautifully in the middle of the track as he holds on, but going to be vulnerable down the main straight ahead to Carby.
Yeah, and I think not only to Corboy but to Ivor Brian Mike as well, who's just waiting in behind Corboy there. Just been overtaken by Corboy, but he has the speed to keep up with him. And I think, yeah, there Storm goes back into the pits. His tires are already shot, and that's after 9 laps on the medium tires.
Yeah, there's throwing my podium prediction out the window, but it's definitely the right call, it's fair to say. Because if he went any longer than tyres, the chances of him crashing were very high, as he was burning up the rear tyres out of every corner, just making it a very tricky car to handle. As you know, Carboy's in clean air, but he's got Mike right on the back of him who looks a bit quicker than Carboy, and they've both got the same penalty, so I think this could be the battle that should last for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I think it is. We're gonna be maybe seeing these guys overtaking each other at the DRS straight, lap after lap, because as you said, Corboy looking a little bit faster, but DRS saving Mike at the moment. And let's switch back to Nelly. Let's just keep an eye on the gap. Let's see how fast he is on the medium tires. His gap to Ivor Brian Mike is 10 seconds. So let's see if it goes down and how fast it goes down. And here Charlie comes into the pits, and I think he's gonna go for the soft command of tires. He does. Let's see how far he comes out behind Nelly here.
I think he's made the same mistakes more now, that's surely too early. Nelly managed 15 laps overall, but he was still doing well for pace, but I think that's just due to Nelly's pace advantage as he sets the fastest lap to 17.5. Yeah, Charlie's quite far behind, but he's going to close that gap quickly on them soft tyres. But he's got to manage them or else he's going to be in trouble like he was in Portimao. Mike's got past Corboy, but has also run it wide into the gravel on the exit of Villeneuve, which allows Corboy to get a lot closer.
So Corboy probably gonna redo the favor on this lap and repassing Ivor Brian Mike. But look at the gap. 1 lap later, 7.3 seconds between Corboy and Nelly. Scratch that, 7 seconds. So Nelly flying at the moment, and he has to be careful that he doesn't fall into the same trap as Storm did, and he doesn't burn up his tires too early this race, because Charlie is on the soft tires, is going to be struggling at the end, but you want to have some good tires left then if you're Nelly, as Noah J comes into the pits as well now.
Yeah, that's that Nelly thing. I definitely think he's probably got the better tyre wear than Storm, and he doesn't seem to be pushing too hard. He's got 70% ERS, whereas at the time Storm only had 10. So it's just keeping it nice and cool, and is just aiming to keep it on the track for the remaining laps to not pick up a penalty. Because if he picks up a penalty, that definitely allows a massive chance for Charlie to get the win here, as he's closed 8 tenths already over that 1 lap.
Yeah, on the softer tire, but how are these softs going to be at the end? We're going to have to wait and see. And Nelly already 5.4 seconds now, so that gap is closing rapidly. And I think Scuba Steve, Longhart and Corboy, we're going to be seeing them in between now and 2 laps maybe.
I'd expect Scuba Steve to go a bit longer, maybe to lap 20, so we can have the fresher tyres, as Noah J's probably already going to get the undercut on here. So why not extend a bit more, get the fresher tyres and be a lot faster at the end of the race as he continues to another lap there, which I think is a smart option. But the Hassers, one of them's got to pit soon here, or they're going to trip over each other, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's not what you want to see, because it's going to cost you a lot of time there. And somebody like Ivor Brian Mike, who pit on relatively early, and as we have a yellow flag, it's a Mercedes. I think it's Atlas Coppo who's in trouble there. But Ivor Brian Mike on 13-lap-old mediums here seems to, well, have the tire advantage now over Corboy, but he pitted quite early on. Do you think he needs to pit again?
I think Mike's going to try go to the end here, because he's got nothing to lose. And it's definitely putting him in with a great shout at the podium. I think he's definitely going to get overtaken by Nelly and Charlie. Their raw speed is just head and shoulders above the rest of the field at the moment. as they are classed as the fields, as Corby runs a bit wide and tyres are definitely struggling. So I'd expect Corby to hit at the end of this lap or next lap.
Yeah, probably, as you said, next lap or maybe lap 20. And look at this, Charlie right on the back of Nelly now, going into the final sector here. Is he going to be waiting for the DRS straight? I presume he is. He's taken some different lines. No, he already overtook Nelly there. But was that a little trick of Nelly? Because he knew what was coming and wants to profit off the DRS he's getting here. DRS opening up. Where is he? Ooh. Yeah, and he passed him there. So we have a battle on our hands here. As little mistake there from Charlie, almost going to the back of Nelly and going through the gravel there. So yeah, he has some recatching to do.
The commentators curse for saying we have some drama on our hands here, but during all of this, Scuba Steve's pit, he's 4 seconds behind. Oh, Charlie's lost it. Can he keep it up the wall? I think he has done, but I've promoted Scuba Steve now into a net P3 or P4 because no, Mike's going to the end. But Scuba Steve has the pace advantage here over Noah J at the moment. He's gained quite a few tenths this lap, and with the pressure ties towards the end of the stint, it's going to be much faster. So I think we could be seeing another podium here for the American.
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, only 3.8 seconds behind Noah J here, but Nelly. Cheeky little trick of him there, getting overtaken and profiting off it, getting the DRS. But it was a trap he set. Charlie fell into it as Nelly gets a 3-second time penalty now. So maybe that's going to be an issue at the end of the race, and a long hard coming in now for his soft tires. Do you think we're going to be seeing Nelly into trouble of maybe someone of the likes of Noah J here, or isn't he just too fast?
Charlie's retired into the pit lane, unfortunately, but I don't think Noah J retire with only 10 actual runners left, so you've disconnected, but that was his choice. But back to what you said, I think that penalty's not going to harm Nelly because Noah went very early, the lap after Charlie, soft tyres. They're going to be struggling towards the end, and we can already see them falling off as Scuba Steve's getting half a second in this lap. Nelly's now only 2 seconds behind Mike here, so he's gaining a lot rapidly. He's going to want to make the move efficiently and try to catch him at the right point to where he doesn't lose that much time to Noah.
Sorry, as I just took a sip of my beverage there. Yeah, Nelly just 1.4 seconds. I don't think Mike is going to be putting up a big fight here. He knows he's on much fresher tires here as Corboy picks up a 3-second time penalty. So probably we're going to be seeing Mike trying to let Nelly pass to lose as little time as possible. But Noah J now closing in a little bit to Nelly, but still 10 laps or 11 laps, 10 and a bit to go here. So yeah, is it going to be enough to get on the back of Nelly, because Noah J kept it clean and didn't pick up a penalty yet.
As I said, I think he's going to struggle because I remember Noah had 2 warnings at the restart, so I don't mind, he's only on 1 warning, take that back, but he's 10 laps without getting 2 warnings. It's very difficult with Mike once again, giving another time penalty, which is now his 6 second penalty here, which will drop him currently behind Noah J, but the gap's going to close, and I think Scuba Steve and maybe even Long Hard going to get in that range.
Yeah, probably so. And look at Nelly, 4 tenths between Ivor Bryan Mike and Jelle Giese here, the NSR driver. I think it's gonna be easy peasy here. Mike not gonna be putting up a fight, and Nelly profiting of his DRS, so he can create a little bit of space between him and Noah J. And here he goes, flying down the inside, and well, a regular overtake here. I mean, almost no fancy overtaking here. We've seen a few, but most of them were made on the start-finish straight.
There's not many overtaking opportunities around here. I'd say the only chances are into the braking zone at Tamburello and here at Zone board with Nelly at the moment. who's already pulled 1 second to Mike, so and tyres on Mike are struggling. There's still 10 laps left. But Noah J. Looks like you.
Yeah, no, go on. Sorry.
He said Noah J's picked up the pace a bit more here. He's only 2.5 bit seconds now behind Nelly. He's not out of contention. He's just got to keep his tyres in window.
Yeah, if you were a Noah J, and it has the looks of it now that he is slowly catching Nelly, do you think the wise thing is just staying behind him as he kept it penalty free so far, or do you think the driver, the racer, is gonna be winning the mental battle within his own head, and he's gonna be trying to go for an overtake?
I think he's going to clear Mike now easily. He's going to make the move down the inside there. But if he can get onto the back of Nelly, I think he would maybe try to make the overtake, because the tyres are going to wear out towards the end of the stint though, which is going to compromise his entire race. So if he can get ahead of Nelly earlier on, Nelly's going to lose time stuck behind him trying to overtake him, so it'll be harder for him to gain like 3 seconds. As the gap's now 2.4, and he's gaining quite a lot of time here. But Nelly's got 60% of the RS, whereas Noah's got 11.
Yeah, so Noah really burning down that ERS, and I'm really just a little bit concerned about Ivor Brian Mike. He's falling off big time now. I really think he's gonna be in puncture territory at the end of the race here.
It all depends on how he's been on his tyres this race. He's been aggressive and pushing. I'd say it's probably going to be near puncture range in a few laps. But if he's been smart, which I know Mike is, he's very conservative, it's fair to say. But been managing his tyres, and I think he can get to the end of the race here, picking up a good result. I think he's going to drop behind the long car, but I think he's going to stay ahead of Storm, so it's looking like a good P5 on the cards here for Mike.
Yeah, I think that is quite possible, and I think he is aiming for that. But look at this gap between Nelly and Noah J, now 1.8 seconds, so that gap is coming down quite heavily. Scuba Steve slowly reeling in. Ivor Brian Mike here. I think Longhart stays behind a little bit. We've seen some sparkles of speed in earlier races from Longhart, but he's been quite under the radar so far this race.
Yeah, as I said, like at Baku, he was just doing his own thing, keeping it clean, and he was getting good results. As Nelly's made a huge mistake there through Aqua Minerale, as now Noah J's only 1.2 seconds behind. This could definitely compromise Nelly's race here. Noah J just needs to manage the RS a bit more, as he's not going to gain time on Nelly, and he's just burning through his DRS when it's not needed. He needs to be a lot more conservative with the RS usage, and I think he could win this.
Yeah, and look at this, Scuba Steve going for the overtake here with his DRS, so another easy overtaken. Mike not putting up a fight here, conceding that position. He knows he has the tire disadvantage here, so doesn't want to lose any time, and still has a 9-second gap to Longhart. So if he is able to manage his tires here, maybe he's going to be able to manage that gap as well, as we have a yellow flag, and I believe that's Tenturi. So Tenturi, another driver who we've seen doing some brilliant things so far this season, but today it isn't coming together for him.
Yeah, I know he doesn't have a setup because he missed out at the start of what's happened.
Yeah, I was still on board with Tenturi, and he just took 3 right turns into the barrier and causing a safety car here. So
that's spot on. It should be a penalty going his way.
Yeah, most definitely. And I must say, I'm really seeing these kind of things. I'm just tempted to end the stream. Not what we want to see, not what anyone who's watching the race back wants to see, and especially not something drivers in this race want to see, as we see Nelly and Noah J coming in now for some fresh tires, and that promotes Scuba Steve into P1.
That's definitely the right call there from Scoop Steve. He's got 2 warnings, so being in the dirty air would compromise him quite a bit with understeer. And his tyres are quite a bit older, but they were much younger than Noah's when he's pit. As one person this hasn't helped out is Mike, because with that 6-second time penalty, he's going to fall quite down the order, and I know I'm going to be getting my message saying I've given him another commentator's curse for the 3rd time this season.
Yeah, you have to stop doing that to Mike. He was doing great here. I mean, he was in kind of a tough position with 20 lap old medium tires, but he was doing okay, I must say. And yeah, as you say, everybody's going to be bunched up here because of the safety car. He's just gonna be losing out massively with his time penalties.
Cowboy as well gained position into P2, but he's got a 9-second time penalty, so I don't think that's going to help his podium aims, unfortunately. But he could be the anchor to Scuba Steve here by holding up Nelly on the restart.
Yeah, that most definitely is what Scuba Steve needs. Scuba Steve not picking up a penalty yet. Nelly has 1, so 3 seconds. But yeah, Scuba Steve, he needs to push to get away from Nelly, who is on fresh soft tires. But you have to be careful as well, because if he over pushes, and as you said, he is on 2 warnings, the last thing he needs in this race is pick up another penalty.
Yes, I've just checked the penalty situation, and Scuba Steve's still on 2, obviously, and Noah J has been absolutely outstanding on his warnings this race. He picked up his first warning on lap 1, and is still currently only on 1 warning, so he's gone 27 laps without exceeding the limits once, which is very difficult to do at this track.
I'm sorry, I was just watching the Discord server here, so I completely missed what you said.
Noah J, as he picked up his first warning on lap 1, and he's still only on 1 warning, so he's done an excellent job this race to keeping it within the limits.
Yeah, he most definitely did, and this is his ticket to the podium, I think. I mean, he's behind Corboy, who's on a penalty. He's behind Nelly, who's on a penalty. But I am suspecting Nelly is gonna be a little bit too fast. But we don't have much laps left of racing, so if he can stay within that 3-second gap, 3-second range of Nelly, he has the race in his hands now, I think.
Yeah, it's all down to Nelly and Noah to try clear Corboy and Scuba Steve as quick as they can. Otherwise, they're definitely going to be in with a difficult task, especially Nelly with the 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, and we know he has the speed, so he probably, if he is starting to push, he can create a gap big enough. But as you said, he has Corboy in front of him, and he has Scuba Steve in front of him. They are on older tires, but they are good racers, so it isn't gonna be easy for Nelly. And all Noah has to do is just follow him. If he makes the overtake, try to take the same line and make it a double overtake.
Yes, is it in this lap or is it one more?
I think it's 1 more. Yeah, lights are still on, I believe.
This is definitely helping Scuba Steve with his hopes for a win here.
It is, because after this we only have 3 laps left.
And it's very difficult to make a move without DRS down the main straight. You just need to have lower wings and a very good slipstream. So, I'm going to say this, and I'm very sorry if I curse this, I think Scuba Steve's going to pick up the win. I think Noah J is going to get second, and then Nelly pick up the final podium position.
I think you're right. Corboy just has too many penalties, picked up too many penalties, so he's out of contention for sure. And Nelly, yeah, it all depends on his overtaking abilities here. And this is why we don't want to see what we saw causing this safety car. Yeah, it just ruined Nelly's strategy here.
Yeah, and it's probably a bit disappointing to be Nelly here, because he's not put a foot wrong apart from the penalty. that's racing, if you think about it. Anything can happen, and it's definitely benefited Scuba Steve in this case, but one race it could be him, the next could be Scuba Steve, just flip-flops.
Yeah, most definitely, as the safety car is coming in this lap, and I just wanted to add to your, yeah, what you told, which is 100% right. Now it all comes down to, yeah, just being strong mentally. If you're Nelly, don't give up. Just take the opportunities as they come, and if they don't come, there's always a next race.
If 20 points in this case to be P3 is always better than picking up 0 or chasing the win. Scuba Steve's gone quite early.
Yeah, he is. He doesn't wanna be lying around. Maybe he was banking on. Look at this, Nelly already on the back of Corboy here, but isn't able to make an overtake here. Ooh, he goes on the grass a little bit on the brake in there, and he wants to make it quite clear to Corboy that he needs that position there, but not yet. And he also has to be careful of Noah J behind him, who's on fresh tires as well. So one mistake and Noah J is going to be the one. But here, going down around the outside, trying still a little bit side by side here, and Noah J is just waiting there. And now, oh, I wanted to say he has the move done, but that was Corboy going wide there.
A bit silly there from Corboy, sticking his nose in when Nelly already had the move complete. But Nelly's got some work to do now. He's got to gain around 4 seconds in total whilst passing Scuba Steve, which I think that's just too little too late. Scuba Steve just needs to keep within the white lines and the win is his.
Yeah, I think it is too little too late, and I don't think he's gonna be able to. I mean, once they cross the finish line, we have 2 laps left of racing, 8 tenths behind Scuba Steve. Even if he overtakes him, he needs to drive without wings to be able to increase that gap to 3 seconds.
And Nelly's definitely not helping himself out. He's burnt through a lot of the RS. He's on the same amount as Scuba Steve, but that's not really going to help him here, is it? Because he's not going to have DRS on the next lap, and it should be the final lap, so he's got to try get the ERS advantage and then burn it all down the main straight if he wants to make the move, which I can't see happening, but never ever.
Yeah, I've said before I don't see that happen, and then a lap later it happened. But still, he has to increase the gap to 3 seconds, and yeah, don't think that's gonna be happening. But looking at this, there's just 3 guys standing. Oh, Scuba Steve picked up a penalty here.
That's very silly there from Scuba Steve. All he needed to do was bring it home, and I think this probably hands the win now. Sorry, to Noah J.
I think so. He has his work cut out. But look at this, Noah J, really trying to be aggressive there. As the only thing he has to do is stay behind these guys, as they both have penalties, and he's picking up the win here. And on the last lap, we have DRS.
Yeah, but they won't have it down this main straight, though, will they? So
nope.
It's kind of pointless to enable DRS for nothing, but Noah J now just I've commentated just curse Mike, Noah and Storm's race. Just keep it on the track, Noah. And you've got the
yeah, just feather that throttle on every exit of the corner. You can lose a little bit of time, you can lose a lot of time even. Just keep within those 3 seconds of Scuba Steve and you're alright.
Scuba Steve's also done a very good job at defending from Miller, who's definitely had the pace advantage on them 6 lap fresh soft tyres. Noah's kept it within bounds, and I think he still has 2 warnings to spare, so he just has to negotiate the final 2 corners. I think also known as the Ravatsas, if I'm not mistaken. Nelly getting very close edge to Scuba Steve. He wants his P2, so Scuba defends very well to the inside. Nelly going to cut back and drive straight to the back of him. He's a brilliant drive, I think. Is it going to be a photo finish? No. Scuba Steve wins it on track and Noah J picks up P1. Brilliant drive there from Noah. Just well managed, keeping it on track. And Atlas Carpart after 2 spins earlier on, and without a front wing, has ended P4 due to keeping it clean. It just shows how much consistency pays league racing.
Yeah, you can see how important penalties are. Just keeping it clean. Hands in a P4. Well, actually, halfway down the race, he was chanceless for a good finishing position here. But that's the race done here. For today, we saw a one-shot qualifying session, we saw a sprint race, and now the main race. And I'm gonna let you do the honors of taking us through the final standings of today.
So P1 was Noah J after a magnificent drive there from P5 on the grid, and P2 was Scuba Steve, I think, as well, who he had a very quiet race, it's fair to say, but just that last lap penalties cost him there massively. And it's very unfortunate for the American, but it was his own mistake, and it's unfortunate. Nelly picks up P3 after picking up a time penalty, which is a bit unlike Nelly after seeing the first two rounds as well. Atlas Copo P4, Longcart P5 after once again a very quiet race, and it's a very good result there for the German. Storm P6 let me down with my predictions, unfortunately. Mike P7, Black Phoenix, who wasn't in control, P8, so that'd promote Corboy into P8 since Black Phoenix didn't have control, who also picked up the fastest lap at the end by over 4 tenths to Noah. P10, IRL Dundee, who also wasn't in control of his car, and then the DNFs, Tunturi, who should be expecting a penalty coming his way after crashing out and causing the safety car, and then Charlie also retired in the pits, Kiki, Ray Meader, who crashed on lap 1. Very interesting race. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, very interesting race. Very unfortunate for Nelly for the late safety car, and Scuba Steve down to his own mistake of picking up the penalty. And I was gonna go for Scuba Steve for the driver of the day, as he just kept it consistent. But yeah, I'm just doubting now. But I think I'm gonna give it to Noah J, who kept it clean here, and in the end picked up a P1. So who's your driver of the day?
I've got to agree with you on Noah there. Just managed his tyres, his warnings for the most part anyway. Just didn't pick up any warnings for 31 laps, which you don't really see much around here, and he's picked up the win because of it, so it's very well deserved there from Noah J, who picks up driver of the day.
Well, congratulations to Noah J on the win in the 50% race and picking up our driver of the day. And that's where we're going to round off. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Mr. Funky Chicken, for joining me again today.
Thank you.
And I want to, the pleasure has been all mine. And I want to wish you a lot of luck this Sunday in TTML F1, which is going to be starting in 7 p.m., I believe. And then we are going to be back next week. First, on Wednesday, we have a rerun of EML League 2. And then on Thursday, we're going to be having 8 p.m. We're going to be having TTML F2 and F3, and then Funky Chicken and me are going to be back this next Friday, same time. F5 going to be running then as well. So see you next week, and have a great weekend.